Welcome to our weekly webinar and our weekly Small Business Center webinar. For those of you who are new, a Small Business Center we do a webinar every week on Thursdays at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Your local time may be different. These webinars are all for the small business owners and for entrepreneurs to help them start, grow, and build their companies. If you are interested in doing a webinar for our members, please let us know. We are always looking for new presenters. Or if you know somebody who would like to do a webinar for our members, please let us know that as well. As I said, we are really looking for new presenters. As long as the topic is related to small businesses, we would be happy to have you present to our members. Today, our topic is getting free or low-cost publicity for your small business. While I do mention it free or low cost in the sense that if you do it yourself, it will be free in the sense that you won't have to pay any money. However, it will take time, or it will require your time, so you are exchanging money for time. If you don't have the right skills, for example, if you are doing print PR and you don't have the right skills to be able to write properly, then you may need to hire somebody. Now, that doesn't mean that you may necessarily have to go and hire a PR specialist unless you have that kind of money. Then I recommend that you do that. But if you don't, then I recommend that you either hire an intern from your local college or university, or even hire a lecturer or a professor at your local college who can write properly in proper grammar and English and spelling, but you still need to have the marketing content behind that. And if you hire some intern who's doing marketing courses at a local business, you can probably do it fairly cheaply. Our agenda today is why use publicity as a marketing channel, how to get started with publicity campaign. This is a very basic webinar. We are not going to get in depth about publicity and everything that goes around that. What we are going to discuss is how to take that first step and get started quickly if this is something that you do want to do, rather than worry about everything that you can and possibly do. We are going to get into 10 ways to get publicity. Now, these are just some ideas that I'm going to throw out to get your mind thinking about the types of things that you can do, types of publicity that you can potentially get. Then I'm going to discuss a little bit about how to engage with media. This is another topic that we can probably discuss for a couple of hours, but I'm not going to take that much time. Obviously, our webinar is only for an hour today. So I'm just going to go into the basics of how to start the engagement process with media, and then how to write a basic press release. What are the essentials that you need to have in the press release? After you have done the publicity, what are the things that you need to do to make sure that you optimize value out of that publicity, that you continue to get some more mileage out of that publicity? And then I'm going to talk a little bit about next steps and tell you a little bit more about the resources on our website. I think there are 3 PDFs that we have that you can download. And again, these are all free. And over the next couple of days, I'm also going to add a few more, I think a couple of more resources that you can download. So I'll give you the website address for that, but in the email that I will send out after the webinar, will also include the link to that. So if you don't get the link right away, don't worry about that. So why use publicity for your small business, to market your small business? The first thing that you need to understand about publicity, that it is not about promoting your business. Well, to you it is, but to the media and to the audience of that media, it isn't about promoting your business. Whether you like it or not, at the end of the day, the media and the audience of that media really don't care anything about us. They don't care about our businesses. What publicity is about is about sharing knowledge, and you have to come into the publicity strategy from that perspective, that you are going to share your knowledge and you're going to enhance somebody's life with the knowledge that you're going to share with them, rather than come from the perspective of how do you make more money out of it. Although that is the ultimate goal for a business, but the mindset when you're developing your publicity strategy is the sharing of knowledge, is to making somebody else's life better. Other than that, if that's the reason, then why you should be doing publicity? First of all, it's instant credibility to you. If somebody sees your advertisement in a newspaper, they are not going to trust you as much as if they see a story about you next in the same newspaper, even if it's next to your advertisement or next to the advertisement of your competitor. They're going to place more credibility and more trust in you with publicity rather than with advertisement. It does build interest and buzz in your company, so people will talk about it, which will then take that one aspect of publicity into a bigger component, especially if you do the right things after the publicity is done. Then there's a question of building your brand image and your name recognition. Even if it's not going to give you an immediate return on your investment, it will over time build interest, build your brand recognition, as long as you do it consistently. It's not about doing it once, but you have to do it consistently over time. And it will establish you and your business as an authority figure, as an expert in that particular field. And of course, ultimately, as I said earlier, it will increase sales. And hopefully it will increase sales, because if it's not increasing sales, then we obviously have to rethink our strategy and come back to it and see, okay, what do we need to do next? So I'm going to give you a couple of case studies here. Obviously, you probably all are aware of Apple's use of publicity, their use of media. In, I believe it was 2010, with the release of their iPhone version at the time, it's estimated that Apple got $400 million in free publicity. Now, even for a big company like Apple, which is today I think is one of the most valuable, if not the most valuable company out there, even $400 million is a lot of money. And Apple, of course, has a lot of good people behind that doing PR for them. They have a lot of good PR specialists who know all the stunts they need to pull, right? But if you look at all of the stories about the iPhone launch, it wasn't so much about iPhone itself, it was about the human interest story that goes with that. So for example, if you look at this particular one, which was on CNET, where it says that Verizon iPhone goes on sale with a live blogging. So somebody was doing blogging minute by minute about the sale of iPhone, right? Because there is so much hysteria, so much buzz around the iPhone launch. If you look at the picture here from BBC, it was on BBC, about people standing in line essentially for hours and hours to buy their iPhone, right? So it's not about the iPhone, the story, but the story is about the human interest story. Why are people standing in line for hours, sometimes camping overnight to get an iPhone? So you need to think from the perspective of, when you do publicity, is what kind of event you can create that will get the media to talk about you, right? That's the deal here. It's not about sending a press release that may not be of interest to anybody other than to you, right? And that's where you're going to make a difference between a good publicity campaign and a mediocre publicity campaign. Here's another case study from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. I'm sure for those of you who are in North America are familiar with 1-800-GOT-JUNK. The reason I'm putting them in as a case study here is because you can dismiss Apple because Apple does have a cachet with it. Apple does have a brand image with it, and so they are able to get a lot of publicity. But 1-800 got junk. Let's face it. I mean, it's a very well-run company. It's a very good company. But at the end of the day, they are garbage collectors, right? And if a company that collects garbage can get good free publicity, then I'm sure that all of us who are even smaller businesses but may have a, I don't want to say a better product, because of course God Junk has a good product and it's a good company. I don't want anybody to think that I'm putting them down. I'm not. But certainly you can do and get good campaigns going on to get good publicity out of that as well. But again, you can dismiss both of those as being big companies. There are many, many, many small companies that do very, very well with their publicity campaigns. This company called Small Wall, mysmallwall.com, they have one product for if you're decorating your home and painting your walls. It's for that. But if you look at if you go to their website and click on press and media, you can see how many media how much publicity do they get, and not just any publicity, but some of these publicities are from very, very good places. For example, from Women's Day, from Chicago Tribune. I think there was Orange County Register. These are some very well-known newspapers, very well-known TV stations that is giving them some very good publicity, right? So even if you are a small business, if you do if you get your messaging right, if you get your story right, again, coming from the perspective that it is of human interest story, it is about sharing knowledge, it's about entertainment and not about you per se, then you are going to be able to get some very good media coverage. So having said that, where do you start with your campaign strategy? First of all, make sure that your publicity strategy is part of your overall marketing plan. It's not something that you are doing in addition to it. It's not something that you're doing as an afterthought, but it is very integrated within your marketing plan. You also need to make sure that you research your industry very well, because you have to come across as an expert. It's not something that you just get up one day and decide to write an article that will go to a newspaper and they will simply just publish the article, because they need to be able to look at you as a trustworthy expert that's giving them some very good information. Once you have done those two things, then you need to start building a database of the media contact. Producers of TV and radio stations, journalists and reporters in your local newspaper or even national newspapers, and make sure that you keep it updated, because these people do move around frequently. They jump from one organization to another organization, so make sure that you keep this list updated. Also, make sure that you're researching the media and journalists properly. So find the relevant media that will get you the right publicity, and also find the right journalist within the media who might be interested in your publicity. You can't just send things out randomly and expect people to just print it, right? These are very busy people. They get a lot of content on a daily basis. They get a lot of companies pitching ideas to them on a daily basis. So you have to be able to stand out to them and said yes, they want to work with you. And of course, you want to get a press kit. So what is a press kit? It is essentially there are several things that should be included in a press kit itself. So for example, you need to have a pitch letter. Now, a pitch letter or an introduction letter, you can have a generic one on your website, but when you're sending a press kit on a specific story, then you should actually have something that is customized to not only that story, but also to that media, and more importantly, to that journalist. Why should they care about your story, and why should they publish your story? It's very important that you get the pitch letter correct, and it shouldn't be very long. Maybe no more than a page certainly, but I would say even shorter than that, because again, respect their time. They don't have a lot of time. Get to the point quickly and immediately. You should also, in your information, in your press kit, you should also have information about your company and about your product and services. If you have any recent press publication, if you have any recent press releases, you should include that. You should include a picture, either your own picture of the product or service that's related to the story, picture of a group picture of all of your employees, but you should have some sort of a visual content that will grab their attention. If you don't have, if you're not on your website, you can have a sample news stories, the story that you want to promote. But again, if it's not a sample news story, if it's a specific, then write a sample story around that news. The journalist may go back and redo it, but again, come from the perspective they don't probably have time for that. So you want to make their life as easy as you can. So if your story is written in a way that a journalist can take and without much redoing it, they can print it, they will actually do it for you. If there is a frequently asked question or a list of frequently asked questions, include that in your press kit so that they don't have to come back for clarification. If they come back for clarification, that's good. But again, make their life as easy as you possibly can. If your company has received any awards, if you have any video files or audio files or logos, include that in your press kit as well. Now, this is a big list, and you might be thinking, if you have to do all of these things, you may not want to. But again, come back from the perspective that you want to make life of the journalist, of the reporter, as easy as you can. Because if it's easy, they will do it. If it's difficult, they will put it at the bottom of the pile, even if it's a story of interest to them. So what media should you be approaching? There's, of course, traditional media, television, radio, newspapers, magazines. But then there is non-traditional media, the new media. And I would highly, highly recommend that you actually look at them very seriously and not ignore them. Internet radio, for example, I've put an example here of blogtalkradio.com. There are literally hundreds upon hundreds of internet-based radio stations on this website, which are all talk radio. And if you go there, I'm sure you will find somebody who is doing a radio show on a topic related to your business. Approach them and see if you can be a guest on their radio show, right? Of course, you can start your own radio show if you want, but today's topic is not about that. It's about getting publicity. So approach them. Many of these talk shows on internet actually have a pretty large audience. But even if they don't have a big audience, doing a talk show with them will give you two things. First of all, if you have never done this before, it will give you some experience in a very safe environment. It's not going to be something that will reach millions of people. So if you mess up, it's not going to be a big issue. So it will start getting you some experience on how to do a talk radio if that's what you're interested in. But it will also give you an audio file as an example that you can put on your own website as part of your press kit, right? If you don't have something, these are the ways you can build it very quickly. Blogs is another way to get started very quickly. Not only having a blog on your own website, but also guest blogging on other people's website. Find a blog that is related to your topic and see if you can guest blog on their blog website. Again, it will give you exposure, but more importantly, when reporters are looking for experts to do a story on, many of them will search Google. And if you have blog posts, your name is likely to come up as an expert in that particular topic or industry. And so they will be able to approach you. And YouTube, I cannot recommend YouTube enough. There are reporters who actively search YouTube looking for experts. And if you have a YouTube video or videos, then you can actually be more likely to be found by these journalists who want to do a story on a topic. Right. So let's get on to the 10 ways of free publicity. Again, I will repeat what I said earlier. These are just some ideas that you can look into and see if some of these ideas apply to you, and see if you can use them to generate your own publicity. But before you get started with these ideas, keep this thought in your mind again, that you need to develop a story that will be of interest to the media and the journalists that you have selected, that you want to go and promote your business with, and also of interest to the readers, the listeners, and the viewers of that media. So the first one is building a list of something, right? Top 10 list of fashion trends, or 10 ways to use Twitter to get a job, or 9 things to do before selling your home if you are a real estate agent or a property agent. Any list that you can put together is usually very easy to do, and it's something that attracts a lot of attention from people, because nowadays people don't like to read a lot, right? If it's bullet points, if it's something that's easy to do, people will go and read it, right? And if you're doing something like this, as you can probably notice, this is also a good way to start building your blog site, or guest blogging on other people's website, is just build a list of things in your area. So as an example, on the right hand side, an easy way to lose weight, 50 plus ideas. But if you look at the one here, 6 smart ways to dress slimmer, right? So if you can build a list of things very, very quickly, I highly recommend that you start off with that. It's easy to do. You can put it on your blog website, if nothing else, and then send it out to your local newspaper, to the local magazine, or to your industry or trade magazines, and see if they would publish that. This is the easy way to do it. The second thing is to write an interesting story. So I saw this story on BBC News website, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, but it was done actually about a month ago on June 6th. Trade secrets of the oldest family firm in the US, right? If you look at the title of the story, it's a very grabbing title. There are 2 things they're talking about that's very grabbing. First of all, trade secrets. People want to know about secrets. They want to know how somebody is doing something and if they can get something out of that. And the second thing that's grabbing on the title is the oldest family company in the US. Well, not the US part, but the oldest family company. So what is the oldest company is doing? What are their secrets that can help me build a company as well? And if you notice, the very first sentence in the article is nearly 400 years ago. So it's a 400-year-old company, right? So you would want to know, if you're running a business, you want to know, how do you get your business running for the next 400 years, or for that matter, for the next 40 years, right? So it's a very grabbing title. So you are thinking, okay, how is this is a publicity, but how is this helping the company? Because it is about the company, but they're not promoting their company. Do you get the gist I was telling about before, right? You're not promoting the company, you're promoting an interesting story that is going to be informative to other people. And when you're doing that, then of course you're also promoting your company as a secondary thing. Number 3 is doing surveys, right? So if you can survey your customer, for example, and doesn't have to be just your customers, it can be the customers in your industry. So it can be the customers of your competitors, and then publish those results. These are some of the things that are going to be very much wanted by the media, especially with the trade magazines and trade newspapers, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that it will take a lot of your time. As I mentioned earlier, you can get students from your college or university to do the survey for you on your behalf. As a matter of fact, I recommend that you do it that way, because not only it's going to keep your cost down, but in addition to your business name, it will also have a name of the university or the college that you have worked with to do this survey. So it will add that extra layer of credibility and trustworthiness to the to your publicity, because it's not somebody XYZ company doing it in, Podunk, Timbuktu, but it's a company that is doing it with an association with an educational institution. So it will add that added credibility to you. Number 4, I'm just waiting for the slides to change. There we go. Number 4 is using current events. So if there is a current event that is going on, can you do a publicity and piggyback on the back of that current event? This particular YouTube video, you may not be familiar with this. A couple of years ago, there was a YouTube video by the title of United Brake Guitars. If you're not familiar with it, a very quick backstory on that is that there was this musician who was taking a flight on United Airlines, and United Airlines didn't handle his guitar very well, ended up breaking his guitar. He complained to United Airlines. United Airlines essentially said, we are not going to replace your guitar. We are not going to give you money for it. And he went back and forth for about a year trying to get them to pay for replacement of the guitar. They didn't. And so he got very upset at the very end. And he wrote a song. He wrote a song called United Brake Guitars. The gist of the story is that it went viral. It went global. I think there's over 100 million views on his website. And then all of the news media picked it up. BBC, ABC, all of the TV stations picked it up, and it just exploded. What happened with this gentleman, when he saw that, he very quickly did a video. He sells boxes for guitars. He sells guitar cases, right? So he did a video where he got up on the roof of his house, put a guitar in the case, and threw it from the roof of the house to show that the guitar is not damaged if he had used the guitar case, right? So when everybody went searching on YouTube for this other video called United Brake Guitars, they found that, but down 2 or 3 videos down was this person's video, right? So he got free publicity on the back of somebody else's publicity that had gone viral, right? So can you do something where you are doing can you do something where there's a news story and you then go and very quickly do a story around that, whether it's a video, whether it's a blog post, whether it's an article, whatever it is, you will get some mileage out of that. And if you go see this video, it's not a high quality video. It's probably just his own camera that he has put up by himself, because if you see the video, you will notice that it doesn't change position a lot. So I don't think there's anybody else there that is doing the video. So it's a very low production video that he has done. Just to answer your question, Bonnie, what I will actually do is that I will be sending out a copy, or I will give you the link to the recording of this webinar, so you will be able to view the webinar at a later date. I hope that helps. Or if you want the slides, I can send the slides out as well, but you certainly will have the recording of the webinar as well. Okay, so talking about videos, number 5, sorry. Some of you probably are familiar with will it blend? If you're not familiar with will it blend, let me just give you a very quick background on that. This company makes blenders, right? The juicers and blenders. So if you want to blend fruit, you buy their blenders. And as part of their quality assurance, what they do is that they take items that is not meant to be in a blender and they blend them. And as you can see, I actually got this this morning. They have almost 120 videos, and all of them are about blending different things. And this particular video, which is about blending iPhone, they have over 10 million views. And if you go to their channel, of all of their 120 odd videos, they have almost 200 million views. 200 million views, right? That's an awesome publicity. But what they do in this case, for example, they took an iPhone and they put it in the blender and they blended it. You might think that that's crazy, and exactly it is, right? They have done something crazy. And when they did something crazy, and this is by the time when people were standing in line overnight to buy an iPhone, and this guy went and bought an iPhone and then he blended it, right? He destroyed it. So of course everybody wanted to see it. When they did this, they then got picked up through other media, right? Journalists, reporters, TV stations, radio stations, they want to call him up and say, hey, look, we want to talk to you. We want to interview you. We want to write your story. By doing something crazy. Just a very quick background on this. They started this campaign several years ago now with a $50 budget. And the $50 was to buy a camera, a very, very cheap camera for $50. They came back to their office and they blended, I think it was a 4x4 wooden plank that they blended in their blender. And they put it on YouTube, right? You don't really get any cheaper than that, right? And these days, most people do have a camera on their phone. You can do something like that. But do something crazy that will get you noticed. Then number 6 is to hold a contest. Contests are actually very interesting because that gets people to talk about you. So contest, for example, I have seen is people taking pictures with your product and posting it either on their own website or on your website. People taking videos using your product and then posting it on your website. What happens with this is this, and what you can do is you can do a couple of things with that. You can either say, okay, everybody takes pictures or videos, put it on my website, and we will give the reward or an award to somebody who has the best video or the best picture. Then what you do is you tell them that it will be by the system of who gets the most votes on their product or on their picture or their video. So what do? Right? They tell all of their friends to go to your website and vote for their picture, right? So now you're getting all of these new customers that you haven't reached before coming to your website, and of course, hopefully they will buy something. But as you get more and more people coming to your website, and if you do it right, it will probably catch an attention of a journalist or a reporter. But even if it doesn't, you can build a story out of that and send it to the media outlets and tell them the story behind that. When you give that award to the winner of the competition, you can do a story behind that and send it to the media, right? So hold a contest that will get people to talk about you and create a buzz about you. Then there's, of course, always sponsorship opportunities, right? There are a lot of charities, there are a lot of nonprofit organizations that you can sponsor. If they're holding an event, if your local high school a sport game, a football game or a soccer game or whatever game they're doing, sponsor them. You can sponsor charities. Make sure that you do that, but it's not just only the question of sponsoring them, but take it to the next step and make sure that you get publicity for that sponsorship, right? Send an article to your local media of what having sponsored this particular organization, what that means, right? So you are sponsoring some charity. Why are you doing it? How is the charity helping whoever it is that they're helping? What is your contribution in that? And by sponsorship, it doesn't have to be money. It could be your time, that you are a director of this organization, or you are a contributor to the organization, or you actively participate in helping that organization. It doesn't have to be always money. It could also be time. And the organization would be interested in working with you on this, because you will get promotion and publicity, but so will they. They will get the publicity as well. So do a joint publicity campaign with other organizations. This is kind of related, number 8, to a competition type thing, but it is, you can develop a yearly award. So for example, here's a picture of a family that has decorated their house for Christmas. If you are a real estate agent, for example, you can do a yearly award of the best decorated house in your city or your town. It will get you publicity because it's something unique, it's something different, it is something that other people are not doing. And of course, because you're a real estate agent, people are going to then, you will get publicity for people who are buying or selling their homes. So come up with an award system that you can send and give to people on a yearly basis. Along with that is doing something. This is kind of related to doing something that's is a topic of interest on the current events. Is do something green, right? Green things, going environmentally friendly, is something that is pretty out there today, right? Everybody wants to do it. Everybody's interested in that. So here's an example of a bike messenger in Paris that had a publicity about a story of how they're helping the environment. Because they're bike messengers, if you read, I think in the very first one, where they're saying why they are better than the scooter messengers, right? Because scooters are obviously not as environmentally friendly as bikes are, because bikes don't pollute, they don't generate carbon dioxide, so they are more greener. Again, I think you're understanding that the story of your publicity has nothing to do about your company, right? This story is about how they are helping the environment, but of course we all know this is about a publicity about this company. So think about how you can generate the story that will be of human interest, but also get you the publicity, get you the buzz. This company that I used to work with when I was in the UK, when I used to work for an organization called National B2B Center, and we have a client who hand manufactured these chairs that were good for your back, right? So if you were suffering from back pains, you can buy their chairs that will help you with your back pain problem. So they went and found a professor at a fairly well-known established university, and they did help them do a research that the chairs like these actually do help with your back pain, do help not cure your back pain, but will help ease your back pain. And so then they published a paper, a scientific research, well, it wasn't really a scientific paper, but it was a research paper which was associated with a very well-known university, a very well-known professor, and of course they got publicity on the back of that research paper. So think about, is your product something that you can get your university to do a research paper on? Some other ideas that I've listed here. award received by the company or employee. These are not awards that you're giving to somebody, but somebody has given you an award. If you have done that, make sure that you publicize it. By that, it's also, if you're hiring a new employee, make sure that you send out a press release on that. If you have made a charitable donation, not just money, but in time as well, if you're launching a new website, or if you're launching a new branch, or you're launching a new office, there's a variety of different things that you can do around publicity. But keep in mind that if you do just a press release, yeah, it might get published. Yeah, it might get some publicity. But if you develop a story behind that, that is going to be of interest to people, you are going to create an actual real buzz around that. Right, so engaging with the media. I think we have only 15 minutes left, so I'm going to hurry it up a little bit. So engaging with the media. Identify the media that reaches your target audience. Don't just send out information to everybody, but identify and target the media that you want to work with. Research what stories they like to publish, what kind of stories they like to publish, and identify the journalists that like to publish those kind of stories. Then develop a story that will get you the highest chance of getting published in that media. There are some resources I've listed here that you can use to find out those media channels, that you can find out those journalists. Directory on Yahoo, the news and media directory on Yahoo is very good, and that Tello is very good. These are the Twitter accounts for many of the people around, and some of them are journalists and some of them are not journalists, but you can possibly find a lot of Twitter accounts from journalists that you can use to approach. Once you have targeted and found the right media, once you have found the right journalist, then you want to build a relationship with them. Find the blogs where they post on. Many of the journalists have their personal blogs. Go and comment on their post. Build a relationship with them. Don't just send them a story and expect them to print. Start building a relationship with them, because they're more likely to print your story or publish your story if they know who you are, if they know your business, if they know what you're interested in. Email them the story and then follow up in a timely manner. If you email them a story and they email you back and said you are interested but they want some clarification, make sure that you get back to them in a timely manner. Don't put it off. Don't waste their time. Don't send them stories that are not going to be relevant to them. And that comes to the point of being persistent but not pushy. If you send the story to them and you haven't heard from them and you call them, that's being pushy. That's not being persistent, that's being pushy. But if they haven't responded back to you in a couple of weeks, send them a different story. Maybe they're not interested in the story you send them in the first place. Maybe send them a different story with a different slant. Maybe send them the same story but written in a different way that comes from a different perspective, right? Keep sending them new stories that they will pick something up, but don't push on the same story and keep pestering them to publish it. When you are doing a press release, make sure that there are certain things in a press release that you get right. On the top of the press release, make sure that you either put in the date when you want the release to go out, or put in, if it's ready to go out right away, put in for immediate release. Make sure that you put your contact name and your contact phone number or an email address. When they need to contact you, don't make it difficult for them to contact you. Don't have a form on your website and have them fill out that form. Give them your phone number or give them your email address, because remember, journalists and reporters usually are fighting against deadlines. And if you are not reachable, they're not going to publish your story, they will publish another story. But if they can reach you and clarify things, they are more likely to publish your story. Keep your press releases to one page, but more importantly, make sure your headline is grabbing. Make sure that when they read your headline, they will immediately say they want to work with you. Remember the headline from the BBC story about the oldest firm in the US, right? Great secrets of the oldest family firm in the US. It's a grabbing headline. Make sure your headline is something that will catch their attention immediately. The rest of the press release are broken down in this way. In your first paragraph, summarize your news. What is your news is about? When, what, where, how, the four W's and H when we all learned in high school or in grammar school rather. Remember to put that in, right? Your first paragraph should tell them what the story is about and tell them if they want to do the story or not do the story. Then, in addition, after the first paragraph, the rest of your story broken down in 3 to 4 or 3 to 5 paragraphs that explains the story behind that. And make sure that there's a story that is of human interest that people would want to read about. Include a quote from an expert. And when I say an expert, I mean you. You are the expert in this case. So include a quote, at least one from yourself, if not couple. Include statistics from a reliable source, whether that's a university, whether that's organization that captured these kind of information, whether it's a government agency or a private sector agency. Make sure that you have some statistics from a reliable source. Add a picture. If you have a video, add a link to the video. Make sure that your spelling, your grammar is correct, that the details and the dates are correct. Don't make up the dates, don't make up the details. Keep it simple, keep your sentences short, and please, 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 no jargons. Do not put a jargon in unless it is a trade magazine and everybody in the industry in that magazine will understand the jargon. So now you have done the publicity. What's the next step? Make sure that once it's published, you publish that story on your own website. Send it to all of your customers and your potential customers. Post it on all your social media accounts. And if you believe that you can take that story to the next stage, then do that. So for example, if the story is published in a local newspaper and you think you can then have that story published in a national newspaper, do that. If the story is published in a newspaper and you think you can then expand that to doing radio shows and TV interviews, do that, right? Get as much mileage out of the story as you can. Don't leave it as published story and forget about it. Right, so what are the next steps you would need to do? Start your own blog if you do not have a blog, because that's how the journalists will find you, right? They will do a search on Google and they will look for some keywords in that, and if your blog comes up, they will find you. Even if you are proactively looking for these journalists, point them to your blog, because then they can see the type of content that you generate and they're more likely to then work with you. Promote your blog once you have written it. Promote it on your Twitter, on your Facebook, on your LinkedIn. Promote it wherever you can. Guest blog on other people's blog. Start with us. If you have something valuable about small businesses, you're welcome to post on our blog. As I said earlier, we are looking for presenters, but we're also looking for blog writers. If you have a blog post that you want us to publish it, we would be happy to, and we will of course send a link back to your website. Start off with a press release if you're not familiar with the whole publicity thing. And as I said earlier, publicity is a very big topic and we can spend hours talking about it. Start simple, start small. Write a press release, send it to your local media, send it to your local newspaper, send it to your local radio stations. You don't have to go national right away. Get your feet wet. Get to understand how these things are done, and then evolve and grow your publicity marketing from there to radio and TV interviews. So here are some of the resources that is going to be on our website at that link, but as I said earlier, I will email the link to everybody, so if you don't get the chance to write it down, don't worry about that. The 3 things that we have on the website right now are the 10 publicity tips, 14 ideas for promoting your business online, and writing an online business press release. So I will send that out to you along with a link to the recording of this webinar. And with that is the conclusion of our webinar. Do connect with us on our Facebook and on our Twitter accounts.